guys, it's Christine from Cards by Christine, and I'm here with you for another Tip Tuesday, showing you all the different coloring mediums and ways to add color. And this is the third session in the series on coloring, trying to keep them down to under 20 minutes so that it's not a lot of watching for you guys week after week. So we're keeping them short. So I have a couple things that I forgot to share with you last week with regards to the re-inkers. Well, I was going to save some for this week, but I actually thought of another thing with the re-inkers, and I thought of another thing with the sponge daubers. So I thought I might as well share those with you right away and get them done. So we're going to get right into the thick of it right away, guys. So let me flip down, and you guys can see here that we have the re-inkers here yet. And if you're questioning anything about where it is in the catalog, make sure you check back to the last week or the week before's Tip Tuesday so you can see that information. But sponge dauber, I wanted to show you another way that you can use the sponge dauber. So if you, and I did this with the peach class. So with this one right here, if you guys go to August Ink, Paper, Scissors, you will see how I did this with the peaches. But in a nutshell, I don't have the right colors out, but I'm going to show you what I did. I took the peach like this, and I made it yellow. I know peaches aren't yellow. It would be an ugly peach. But, and because I already have red in this one sponge dauber, which is, where is it? Is it this one? Yep, that one. What you can do is take your sponge dauber and add color to what you've just stamped. So if you stamp this right now, it's gonna be yellow. And what you can do is take the hair off and you can add color to the edge of like the stamp to give it like a two-tone ambiance, right? So we're adding a little bit, and it would be better to go light and then put a little color over the top. So you're wondering, well, what's that gonna look like? It's gonna look like a yellow and red peach, I promise you that. So, and it might not even look so bad, you guys. Okay, but you can see what it did. I probably could have put more red on, but it almost made it look like crushed curry, actually, putting the yellow with the cherry cobbler, the crushed curry with the cherry cobbler. But that little bit of sponging added color around it. So that's another way you can use the sponge dauber, is to add color directly onto the stamped image, or to the stamp, so that you can get that color, okay? Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys with the re-inker, so this is kind of like a recap from last week, was using paste. And I wanted to show you guys about paste. So a purpose for your silicone sheet is to mix up your paste. And so there's two different pastes. There's shimmery white and there's just regular white. This is awesome if you want to add snow to your my paste dried out there. I think you guys, I did a video on this not too long ago. I wonder if this one's dried out. You gotta keep them sealed and then they last longer. But this one, let's see what we got going on. I've used it and then it kind of like dries. Oh yeah, it's still there. I just put my finger in it. Oh man. It can be kind of messy, guys. So you might want to have the baby wipes handy or a paper towel. But my purpose of this is to show you how you can add the color to the paste. And so what you would do is dip in. It's like frosting, guys, but don't eat it. It's not going to be good for your intestines, okay? It's not very easy, like it's messy, okay? So just be prepared for a little bit of a mess. And so they already sent me a new one, I think, for this one. But so you put your paste on your silicone sheet, and we're just gonna be funny here. We're gonna make yellow snow, guys. Like your animal, your pet just went outside. Oh, I went to the bathroom outside and it peed in the snow. You guys, you can tell I'm getting punchy here. So what you do is you add your re-inker to the white. Now, honestly, in all seriousness, you could make a gold star with this, or you could add any kind of yellow. Oh, if you have a flower that's yellow, this has got sparkles in it. And so another purpose for having the re-inkers as a coloring tool is to be able to add it to this paste. Oh, it's turning out really cool, actually. It's really yellowy. So it's like a golden yellow. So that was crushed curry, you guys. So now what you would do, so I'm going to try to lift this up so you can see it. All I've done was spread the re-inker into here. And what you would do now, where do I have something? Dominoes. Okay, so like here, the lime. You could add this. And what you do is you frost your paper as thick or as thin as you want it. And that will dry, okay? It's really moist right now and wet, okay? So it's thick, but as it dries, it will shrink a little bit, and it kind of like, it shrinks. So just do the best that you can with this. And this one paste is really wet, so it's just mushy. But just don't put anything near this while it dries. I would just let it air dry. But you can see what it did is it added, like, it looks like frosting over the top of it. So anything that you want, like right now with snow coming up for us, if you have evergreen trees or any kind of trees that you want to make them look like they have snow on them, go ahead and put this white, leave it white and put it on your trees. Okay, so re-inkers can be added to, the re-inker colors can be added to this paste. So there's a white, and then there is the shimmery white. Okay, I'm gonna get this out of Dodge so that I don't get my arm in it. So that's coloring with paste. And I think that I'm good with re-inkers. If you guys have any, oh, I have more with re-inkers here. Wait. We got more with re-inkers. So I wanna show you coloring now. So let me clean this guy up here. So we're done with the peach for now. I want to talk to you about more coloring and how can you add color to images. So we had this lime that we were working with, and we're using, oh, get this. Okay, so here's the trick, you guys. So I was planning to stamp this in Memento, and it will work. You just have to be very careful. If you don't want to have to be very careful, you will definitely want to use the stazon, which is a permanent ink. But watercolor pencils are another way that you can add color to something that you want to color in. So this one has the daffodil in it. And these take you back to 2nd grade when you have your colored pencils and you had to have them in your Trapper Keeper and you needed to color. So colored pencils are great. My hand gets sore after I'm done coloring this lemon. I will have had enough of watercolored pencils for a little while again. They're okay in small doses for me. I couldn't sit here and color for hours on end. I give kudos to people who do the adult coloring books. That's awesome. That you can color and it's therapeutic. But you can see that it looks a little streaky here. That's what happens with colored pencils as well. And how you avoid having that, or how you fix that, is they have this called a blender pen. And the blender pen is a solution inside. And okay, so I'm going to try to show you a before so you can see it looks streaky. When you use it, it softens it out and makes it look very smooth. You have to be careful though, because I'm going over these little black dots. And the more you go over those little black dots, the more they're going to get smudgy and muddy. So there's an after. Do you see that those streaks are now gone? But what's happening is the black ink is starting to bleed. The more that I go over that, like I just did it on purpose, the more I went over it, it got muddy. It started to get the black ink all over. That's why when you're doing the watercoloring, guys, I got a brand new stazon to have in the hive. The other one is upstairs in my craft room. So I can open it up with you guys and experience a brand new stazon with you. I'm hoping that it still smells like almond extract. Okay, this is a stazon pad. And when you open it up, there's this little protective covering, and I've been taught by some amazing people to put a little glue dot on the top of your stazon plastic cover so that when you put the cover on and you open it, that plastic cover stays in there. You want to keep that plastic cover. Oh yeah. You want to keep, the Kool-Aid man is here. That keeps that plastic cover in there. And you want that because that helps for the ink pad to stay hydrated. It's a permanent ink and it dries out faster. So now what happens is you would use this. I don't know if I cleaned it or not, but nope, okay. Let's clean it. And we're gonna go into the stazon. Brand new, look at this. Oh my goodness, how crisp that looks. It's really dark. Okay, so the thing with the stazon though, I'm gonna stamp a couple of these because we're gonna show some different coloring things with this fabulous lime here, or lemon. I'm gonna stamp this a couple times and stazon. Okay, so now that you've done your stamping, cover that ink pad up right away. I store these guys upside down in my stamp collection caddy over here because that helps the ink stay to the surface. The thing is with the stazon ink pad, you guys need to use a stazon remover. So that also is in the catalog with the stazon. Because it's a permanent ink, water will not clean it off. So what you have to do is use the stazon cleaner. And I go right to my chamois. You could use a baby wipe if you wanted, but I use the stazon cleaner to help clean the stamp off. Otherwise, that black ink will stay on that stamp forever. Okay, so that's stazon cleaner, using that with the stazon ink pad. Now let's talk about coloring again. So now when you color with this colored pencil, you guys would want to have a pencil sharpener in your toolbox if you're using colored pencils a lot, because it will be able to help you sharpen your colored pencils very nicely. Okay, so we are coloring the lemon that has the stazon and going back to our blend, and that will smooth this out. You don't want to keep going over and over the same section because it'll make your paper kind of weird. But what happens now is you can see how the black did not bleed at all compared to over there. It got all mushy and muddy. This one stayed crisp, and the black actually, so it's awesome. It's a brand new pad. It looks so sharp. So that's one way that you can add color. Now, talking of blender pens, you can also use an ink pad with your blender pen. Now, some people will squeeze this so that ink goes in the cover. I don't do that very often, so I dip my, oh gosh, it's really juicy. I dip in there, and then what you can do is now you can use your blender pen. You have to be careful because the first time you dip into that ink, it's really sharp as well. And so now you can use a blender pen to color. But what happens as you use the blender pen is you run out of color, and you have to keep dipping back into your source of color on that ink block, or this block here, to get color. Now, it's not as smooth as using blends, but if you don't have, like let's say you have a lot of ink pad colors, but you don't have the markers, this would be a way for you to color without having all the markers. Because when you're done using, let's get some color right in the middle. You gotta be careful. So with this much coloring, I'm just using basic white paper. Sometimes using the watercolor paper or using the shimmery white paper or the thick white paper is a better option. So it's starting to get muddy. Okay, so when you're done, you just take and wipe out, and then what you can do is go to the next color. We're just gonna go on the corner there. So I'm using the same blender pen, and now I can go in here and color the next. So this is what happens as you color. You start out really strong, and then it fades. And then you gotta dip back and get more, and then it fades. And then when you get more, and then it fades. So it's very tedious to color with blender pens, sorry. But what happens is, I have a card here that was perfect for using a blender pen. This stamped image, the stems were super thin. And to use a stamp and blend, the marker tip was too thick and it would have gone outside the line a lot. So when you have a blender pen, the tip on it is really nice and fine. And what you can do is just trace down and add a little bit of color to those areas. So using a blender pen, it serves its purpose. Like, you can definitely use it for coloring. I wouldn't use it for coloring large areas like this because you can see you'll get different variations of color. And once you start going over the same areas, the paper will get wet. Like, I'm feeling it's really damp, and then it starts to lift up and pill. I guess you could say it pills. Okay, so that's coloring with a blender pen. They come in a pack of 3. They're all the same, and there's a cover for it. So right there, the one thing you have to always remember to do when you're done is wipe out till you don't get any more color. And then it's ready to use the next time. Okay, so now that we have ink on our pad, so we have pad ink, so we dipped in. You could also use, so this is still cherry cobbler, you could also put a little bit of ink via the re-inker, just trying to put a little bit. So if you didn't want to dip the block in the pad, you could use your re-inker and put some ink on there. Another way that you can color is using the Stella pen. So use the Stella pen like you would, so that you could put ink on, but let's go to yellow because I want to make another yellow lemon. So you put your Stella pen in here, get it liquidy, and then you can use the Stella pen to color. Now, if she doesn't have a lot of juice in her brush tip, you could squeeze the base here to get more Stella in the chamber, but the other option you could do is add water. And so I have a little no water in that one. What you could do is add a little bit of water to your block, like that. I'm just gonna leave that over here. If you add a little water to the block, it helps it go a little bit further to add color. And now when you color with Stella, it really glitterifies it. Okay, so another thing though with coloring with Stella is you'll get on bigger areas, you get splotchiness because it's not smooth like using the Stampin' Blends. Now if you have smaller areas to fill in, that probably isn't a problem. Like if you need to just do little sections like that, just know that you can use a Stella pen to color. The other thing you want to do is make sure you wipe out the Stella pen so that you don't have yellow or whatever color you're using in the next one. Okay, so that's coloring with Stella, coloring with the blender pen. But now that we have Stella, I want to show you another technique with adding color to your project. This one though, you're going to want to have a scratch paper down. We're going to go to this one right here. So you've seen me, potentially you've seen me, if you've been watching me a time or two, you could see how you add color to a project. Again, what you could do is put a little bit of water in here and you dip your Stella in that little bit of puddle of color, and to add color to a project, you would just, whoa, oh my goodness, be careful. It gets to be messy, but that is an awesome way to add color to a project, is splattering Stella onto the project by using something to like bat against it, and then it just, you have to have enough liquid in, and then she'll release color. So when you're done though, make sure you wipe the brush out so that the color doesn't stay in there. So Stella pen coloring, Stella pen splattering. Splattering. It's a big mess around here. Okay, so that's a blender pen using Stella, but then now you've seen that there's these aqua painters. Aqua painters are also coloring mediums. Then what happens is these barrels, they twist. It's supposed to be righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but I've noticed that these are righty-loosey and lefty-tighty. They're the opposite of what you'd think. And so what you do is you put that underneath the faucet, you fill it with water, and it's the opposite. Righty-tighty. Wait, righty-tighty. Lefty. Oh, it is. They're right. They're right. I was doing them backwards in my head. Okay. Laugh with me, guys. Okay. So now the thing is, when you're coloring with these aqua painters, there's 3 different brushes that come. There's this fan looking one, there's a fine tip one, and then there's a more medium tip one. The trick with water painters is to use watercolor paper. Did I say that right? Watercolor paper. It's something called Fluid 101. I'm gonna see if I can find it really quick to show you guys. I don't know if I have any. I thought shimmery white. And yes, ba-bum. Fluid 101 watercolor paper. I haven't opened it yet. Gina would be so disappointed in me right now if she watched this. She loves this technique. It's the watercolor paper is a thick paper, so water can soak into it very nicely. Either use watercolor paper, you could use thick vanilla or thick white, and you could also use the shimmery. So what happens, so this is a thick, I don't know if these are thick white. These I think are thick white. What happens with these is the more, what Gina taught me, everything I know about watercoloring, the more that you use you have to have water, right? And she said you always want to have a paper towel handy. The more water that you have, the softer it'll look. So you can see what I did is I pulled out the color there and I went over here and now I'm dipping it around. And water is better. So the more water, the lighter it'll be. You just can create wash backgrounds with it. This must be thin white paper. I have a card here. What are we at for time? 22. I want to see if we can finish this. So this card right here in the background was shimmery white paper, and I did a pool party ink and then the aqua painter behind it to give it that wash look. Okay, so this I'm pretty sure was a basic white. So I'm going to show you, we're just going to use a thick white here just to show you a difference on how the color takes to the paper. So you see how it just soaked it in, it's warping it, it's just going to bend it really weird. So now when you have the thick white, it doesn't soak in quite as fast, and it doesn't give you those lines. Like what happened over here is the color just grabbed to the paper right away. Now that looks cool if that's what you're going for, but if you want that softer look, the thick paper is better. So the watercolor paper or the thick paper or shimmery paper. So you guys have got a mess here. I shouldn't have used red as my sample color for you guys. So, okay. I'm going to go for just a couple more minutes and tell you about 1 or 2 more things. And then I think I'm going to be good on my coloring series for you guys. So that's using aqua painters. Same thing with aqua painters. You want to wipe out, get the color out so that it's not sitting in the brush tip. Okay, so that comes in a pack of 3. Now, these pastels, you guys, you know what I did. I saved them to the very end because I don't know what to do with them. Thank goodness that I have Anna in my life, because Anna made a swap card. Oh, here's a sample. I forgot to show you this. This was a sample where I splattered the red all over the background to add. So I had a very white background and it looked too white to me. So I added that Stella splattering to the background to make it softer. Okay, last sample I have here. So Anna Rebedu made this for the team swap party. It's gorgeous. Do you see what this back looks like here though with the dahlia flowers? We're like, what did you do to make that? And she said, and I don't know if I'm going to show you this because I don't know, I've never done it before, guys, but she said she used the soft pastels. They're chalks, you guys. Soft pastels equals chalks in my book. Just another way of naming them. What she said she did, oh my gosh. Okay, so they scare me, guys. Sorry, they really do. They make me give shiver me timbers because it's like nails on a chalkboard. So they're chalk, right? Like they're brittly, they crumble, they just break apart and make a hot mess. And so they're powdery like that. And okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to wipe my finger right over it. They're schmeary and they're dirty. So yes, you can color with them. You can do really cool, awesome techniques. If you're a color person that loves to do stuff like this, I can't wait for you to show me some of your creations. But that looks like a cool background. Super, super cool. But now what happens is this is going to wear off. It just keeps coming off, and you're supposed to use Aquanet hairspray and spray it, and it should set it, okay? So there's my tip that I've heard to do. Okay, so what Anna did, though, for this card here, she used the chalks. And so you see that she's got here these little powders that came off. So what she said is she put a baby wipe down. She put this baby wipe, and she put these little flakies into the baby wipe. And Anna, you can ad lib and add commentary however you want to this, because I know you're going to watch it. She said she flaked off powder, or these little chippers from the chalk, and put them into her baby wipe. I can't tell you if this is exactly how she did it or not, but she, just like a re-inker, she used these chalks to create an ink into, she created a medium for you to stamp into. I'm not going to keep doing more. I think you guys hopefully get the ball I'm trying to throw at you. So then what happened is she, just like I did with the baby wipe technique with the other, she stamped into this, and I'm sure she did a lot more, and it was completely saturated, but it's scaring me right now to do this. So I don't even know what it's going to look like. Yeah, nothing. So I am sure. So she used this purple one. So that purple one, which is so dark, she stamped this dahlia, and that's how light it ended up being. I am sure she had this baby wipe full of color, and I just don't want to keep scraping at it. I feel like beaking or like nails. You guys, I'm going to not say it anymore. But so I'm sure she had a baby wipe that was a little bit more damp than mine, and then she stamped. And what you can do is it's there. It's very, very light. There's some color on there, but the chalks, you guys, they're fine. They're pretty. I just don't know how to use them so well. And I'm just being completely and brutally honest with you. Honestly, that was the first time I even took and picked one up out of there. And I've had these since June. Okay, so let's go back to our list really, really quick, because I think that we've taken a little bit longer than I wanted to for this one, but I think we're at the end. So we did blending brushes on the first one, the blending brushes were in the second episode. Sponge daubers in the second, blending with ink with a pad and a block. That one we've done. The blender pen, we just did that. We did watercolor pencils, I think on the last one. We did aqua painters just now. We did blends, with the blends, the markers. We did the wool. We got stuff falling. We got blends we did. We talked about the pastels. Didn't have as successful as I would like to have them be, but that is what it is. We talked about the Stampin' Right markers on the first one. We talked about re-inkers a bunch with Stella and coloring and using baby wipes. And that was everything I had. You guys, that does not complete everything that you can use for coloring. That is what my knowledge power brain of Stampin' Up! Supplies and colors is like, is wrapped in my head around. And I'll be honest, I've been using the Stampin' Up! Products for 20 years. And these are generally my go-to color. Oh, we even use paste. But these are generally my go-to. If you have to ask me about what my number one coloring medium or tool is, it's Stampin' Blends. They had Stampin' Blends that came out about 4 or 5 years ago, and they took them off the market, and then they came out with these about 3 years ago, and I've been so happy with coloring with them since. I didn't color much otherwise. I would use a blender pen with dipping into a block with ink. That would probably be like how I would have colored before. I don't generally use Stampin' Right markers to color. I use Stampin' Right markers to color my stamps to stamp an image. That's what I use those markers for. Or to write in my cards, like if you want a matching ink color for what you write on the inside of your card, definitely use the Stampin' Right markers. They're awesome. Watercolor pencils work good too if you want to add color. So we did the MS benefit this last weekend, and instead of putting out blends and having people use the blends, which can generally, the tips can get demolished a little bit faster, With watercolor pencils, that doesn't happen. You can just sharpen the pencil and just keep going with it. So that's why the snowman card was with watercolor pencils. Aqua painters are super cool if you want to create that watercolory wash look on the back end of a card, or to color in even anything. Just remember you need to use a thicker paper with them. Blending brushes are absolutely amazing for creating background effects or background scenery. Sponges and daubers are great for adding color to images as well. So you guys, it's like adhesives. You could use an adhesive, every adhesive on one card. You don't necessarily know until you start putting the card together what you're going to use for adhesive. When you're making a specific card, you might end up using 3 or 4 different coloring mediums or techniques on a card. There's generally no right or wrong way to do a card. Just make a card and make it how you think it looks pretty, and then just know that the person who gets it from you is going to love the fact that you made them a handmade card. Okay? Don't worry if you color outside the lines. Don't worry if you go off the edge. Don't worry if your fingers get all full of ink and you put a fingerprint on it, you guys. It's made with love, and that's what matters. And you know what you do is you write a Post-it note and you draw at it and you say, oops, sorry, my mom did this. Or somebody, or like just say I did this. But you guys, a little joke, my mom says, just say I did it. So, but you guys, you get ink on your fingers, you get in your card. Don't throw away that piece of paper. If you glue it upside down, you can just give it that way. People are highly entertained by trick cards these days. So, all right. That was a long Tip Tuesday, you guys. I haven't done this long of a Tip Tuesday, but it was the wrap-up session, and I didn't want to do a separate Tip Tuesday for wrapping up the series. So I really hope that by going through this in 3 different sections, you guys will get this. You guys can notice by now I wore the same shirt because I did this all in the same night because everything was all over here. I did it because I've been getting lots of questions, and now if you guys ask me, I can refer you guys back to these videos so that you can watch them. And hopefully by having them concise and in a nutshell, like in Tip Tuesdays, that you can find them and easily watch them versus having them sporadically scattered throughout classes. So, yeah. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed them. Give me some thumbs up, share the videos, love them, comment. If you guys want to share your ideas or inspiration or cards you've made with these different coloring tools, we love to see your cards. So share them. Everybody loves them. We get inspiration from anything that you share. So, all right, you guys, lots of sunshine, love, and hugs to you. Don't forget to catch Kelly with Technique Thursday and then class Thursday night. All right, bye, guys.